Good evening, everyone, and I'd like to welcome you aboard the United States aircraft carrier. Now, many of you know the names of Abraham Lincoln, George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Yes, these guys have their names etched in American history, and they were also presidents of the United States. Well, they also have their names on board United States aircraft carriers, and the ships are named after them. So, let me tell you a little bit about a man named Carl Vinson. Well, what does he have in common with these other folks? Well, he wasn't a president, but he has had a United States aircraft carrier named after him. So who is Carl Vinson? Well, Carl Vinson was a congressman from Georgia who spent the majority of his career in Congress advocating on behalf of the United States Navy. He also served as chairman of the House of Naval Affairs and Armed Services Committee. So how did this get his name on board a U.S. Navy carrier? Well, first off, he helped move through Congress the landmark Vinson-Trammell Act, which provided authority for the eventual construction of 92 warships. And he's also what they call the father who birthed the two-ocean navy. Two-ocean navy meaning Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean, and having fleet readiness on both coasts. So, now that we know a little bit about the man who got his name on board a ship, let me tell you about the ship itself. It was commissioned in 1982, can hold about 6,000 personnel, about 80 aircraft vessels, as well as has two reactors, nuclear reactors, which is what propulses the ship, or is the propulsion of the ship itself, and also can go about 30 knots or 35 miles per hour. So, with that being said, the Carl Vinson also weighs 90,000 tons. Now that's a heavy ship. Also, it has been involved in some of the major wars that the United States have fought. Besides wars, it also has a humanitarian side to it. See, the United States Navy don't just advocate for war. It's also a humanitarian presence as well when needed. So let me talk a little bit about some of the missions that it's been on. Many of you have heard about 9/11 or the September 11th attacks on our United States by terrorists. Well, less than a month after the 9/11 attacks, the USS Carl Vinson launched the first aircraft that launched strikes in direct response to the terrorist attacks. In 2003, it went on deployment again for Operation Enduring Freedom against the terrorist attacks overseas. Also, in 2005, Operation Iraqi Freedom was the direct mission that the United States vessel USS Carl Vinson was given to help rid the country of Iraq from Saddam Hussein. Now, what are the humanitarian needs that the ship was given? Well, in 2010, the country of Haiti had an earthquake. So, in direct response to that, the United States government sent the USS Carl Vinson down there to help support the relief efforts and also support humanitarian needs. So, those are just some of the missions that the USS Carl Vinson has had. Also, many of you who are basketball fans might know that on November the 11th, which is Veterans Day, in 2011, they had the first Carrier Classic college basketball game on board the flight deck of the ship. Now, that was between two great colleges of North Carolina Tar Heels and Michigan State Spartans. They built a basketball arena on top of the aircraft carrier while it was in port in San Diego, and it was also attended by the President of the United States, Barack Obama. Now, with the missions and everything that the USS Carl Vinson has gone through, it has been given some awards as well. The Battle E, which means that it was a wartime ready vessel, and this is given to outstanding ships amongst the fleet, meaning ships throughout the whole United States Navy, and there's 12 active U.S. aircraft carriers at this time, including the Carl Vinson. And it was given the Battle E, which separates it amongst the rest. It was also given a Meritorious Unit Commendation, which means it displayed exceptional meritorious conduct and performance of outstanding service, heroic deeds, or valorous actions. One of the greatest ones that it has also was the Navy Unit Commendation, which is equivalent to a Silver Star for an individual in wartime. whereas it's given to the whole unit itself of the Carl Vinson. So, throughout time, the USS Carl Vinson has had distinguished service, humanitarian needs, and has also served as what many people don't know as well, as a movie star. If you've seen the movie Top Gun, Behind Enemy Lines, or even one of the most latest ones, Stealth, then you would notice that the ships that they use in there had the number of 70 on the side of it. Well, what does that mean? That was the USS Carl Vinson. Does that make it a movie star that's going to get an Oscar? Probably not. But in order to have wartime movies where they're flying jets off of aircraft carriers, they need an aircraft carrier to do it, and they have given that distinguished honor 3 times to the USS Carl Vinson. So, the USS Carl Vinson is not only a movie star, a war machine, a humanitarian need, but it's also the home to 6,000 sailors. Yes, sailors actually live on board there even when they're in their home ports. Now when I say home ports, I'm meaning the areas where they live. Bremerton, Washington, Newport News, Virginia, and San Diego, California have been the USS Carl Vinson's home. Now that I've taken you on board the USS Carl Vinson, I hope that you're ready to don the hat, join us in combat, humanitarian needs, or even to watch a basketball game. Thank you for your time, and welcome aboard.